I want you to understand something about 17-year-old me. I was a lot. My father's favorite son, special coat, prophetic dreams. The kind of teenager who not only has visions of grandeur, but tells people about them at dinner, at the dinner table, with the people who would one day want to kill me. Looking back, I deserved at least some of what happened next. Not the pit, but maybe a stern conversation. My father gave me a coat, not a normal coat, a coat that said, "This one is different." A coat that said, "I have a favorite and I've stopped pretending otherwise." A coat that every one of my 10 older brothers had to look at every single morning and be reminded, in full color, that they were not it, and I wore it proudly every day. I was not a smart 17-year-old. Then came the dreams. Now, if you are ever in a family situation that is already tense, already fragile, already one bad meal away from an argument, and God gives you a dream where your entire family bows down to you, keep it to yourself. Write it in a journal. Tell a friend. Tell a goat. Tell anyone who is not your 10 brothers who already resent your coat. I told my brothers, and then, because apparently I had not learned anything, I told my father too, in front of them. My father rebuked me. My brothers hated me even more, and I stood there genuinely confused about why the room had gone cold. I was not a smart 17-year-old. The day they turned on me, we were far from home. My father had sent me to check on them, his favorite son sent to find the others. I should have read what that meant. The favorite is always the most exposed. I saw them from a distance, and something in my chest tightened. Not fear exactly, something older than fear. They grabbed me before I could speak, my own brothers. The same hands that grew up beside mine, the same voices I had heard my whole life, laughing, arguing, calling my name across fields. Those hands stripped the coat off my back and threw me into a pit. The pit was dry, no water, just cracked earth, stone walls, and the distant sound of my brothers eating lunch. Eating lunch. I had just been thrown into a hole in the ground by my own blood, and they sat down for a meal. Bread, probably some lamb, maybe olives. I don't know what I expected. A moment of reflection, perhaps. Some tears. A brief family meeting where someone said, "Actually, this has gone too far." No. Lunch. And here's the thought that has never left me. The most human, most honest, most uncomfortable truth I learned that day at the bottom of that pit. People are remarkably capable of eating well immediately after doing something terrible. We are strange creatures. Then I heard new voices, merchants, a caravan heading down to Egypt, and I heard my brother Judah say something I have turned over in my mind 10,000 times since. What profit is it if we kill him? Let us sell him. 20 pieces of silver. That was the number they settled on. 20 pieces of silver. And I was pulled out of the pit, not to go home, not to be free, but to be handed to strangers and walked away from everything I had ever known. I looked back once. My brothers were already moving on. Egypt hit me like a wall. Everything was different. The language I couldn't speak, the food I didn't recognize, the way people looked through me like I wasn't there, because to them, I wasn't. I was property, a number, a body with a price attached to it. Potiphar bought me, captain of Pharaoh's guard, powerful, wealthy, used to being obeyed. He looked at me the way you look at a tool, assessing usefulness, nothing more. I want to tell you I fell apart, but I didn't. Something in me refused to become what they thought I was. Every task they gave me, I did with everything I had. Not because I had a plan, not because I was trying to impress anyone, but because giving up felt like letting them win, and I was not going to let them win. Potiphar noticed. He gave me more, then everything. And for a moment, just a moment, I thought maybe this was it. Maybe this was where the dream started making sense. Then his wife looked at me. Now, Potiphar's wife. I am going to be careful how I say this. She was persistent, every day. The same conversation, the same request, the same answer from me, which was no, followed by the same look from her that suggested she had not fully processed the word no. I was not flattered. I was exhausted. There is nothing romantic about being propositioned daily by your employer's wife while trying to manage an entire household's finances. It is not a compliment. It is a scheduling problem. So I ran, left the cloak, left the house, left the situation entirely. And somehow, I became the criminal in the story. She was holding my coat, in my house, having just chased me out of a room, and I went to prison. If you have ever done the right thing and still face consequences for it, welcome. You are in good company. The prison cell is roomy, and the injustice is plentiful. Prison is a different kind of darkness. The first pit was shock, sudden, violent, disorienting. Prison was slow. Prison had time in it. Days that looked exactly like the days before them. A ceiling I memorized. Walls that never changed. The particular silence of men who had stopped expecting anything. I met a cupbearer in there. His one job, his entire professional identity, was to remember things for Pharaoh. What Pharaoh wanted to drink, when Pharaoh wanted to drink it. The man was literally a professional rememberer. I interpreted his dream, told him he would be restored in 3 days. And I asked him one thing before he left. One thing, remember me. When you are standing in the palace again, remember me. He forgot for 2 years. A professional rememberer, 2 years. I am not bitter. I have made my peace with it. But I think about it sometimes. Here is the question I had to answer in those 2 years. The question I could not avoid and could not pray my way around. Had God forgotten me too? I will not pretend the answer came quickly. I will not dress it up in religious language and make it sound cleaner than it was. There were mornings I woke up and the weight of everything. The pit, the slavery, the false accusation, the forgotten promise, sat on my chest like stone. But there was something underneath the weight, a quiet, stubborn, irrational conviction that this was not the whole story, that I was still in the middle of something, that those burning, impossible dreams had not been random. I decided to keep going, not because I had proof, not because the circumstances gave me any reason to, but because something in me knew. The way you know things that live deeper than logic, that silence is not the same thing as abandonment. That became everything. Pharaoh dreamed. 2 dreams in one night that shook him so deeply he couldn't sleep. 7 fat cows swallowed by 7 thin ones. 7 full heads of grain consumed by 7 withered ones. His magicians had nothing. His wise men had nothing. And suddenly, 2 years late, the cupbearer's memory returned. I know a man, he said. They pulled me out of the prison cell, cleaned me up, and stood me before the most powerful man in the world. Pharaoh told me his dreams, and I knew. Not because I was clever, not because I had studied, because the same God who gave me dreams as a boy in Canaan was the same God who had been in the pit, in the slave quarters, in the prison cell, and every silent morning in between. He had not stopped speaking. 7 years of abundance, 7 years of famine. Store in the plenty for the scarcity that is coming. Pharaoh looked at me for a long time after I finished. Then he said something I was not prepared for. "Can we find anyone else like this man? One in whom the Spirit of God lives?" He took the signet ring off his finger, and he put it on mine. 30 years old, 13 years after the pit, second in command over all of Egypt. The boy sold for 20 pieces of silver now held the grain supply of the ancient world in his hands. The dreams were real. They just required 13 years of pit and prison and silence and faithfulness in the dark to get there. Then my brothers came. The famine had spread all the way to Canaan, all the way to my father's house, and the men who had to bow before the official who controlled their survival were the 11 brothers who threw me in a pit 22 years earlier. They didn't recognize me, but I recognized them. And you know what the first thing I thought was? The dreams, those ridiculous, embarrassing, told them at dinner dreams that started all of this. They were just standing there, being correct. After 22 years of looking absolutely delusional, quietly, undeniably right. God did not owe me an explanation for any of it, but I have to admit, that moment felt like one anyway. I wept, not from pain, not from anger, but from the sudden, overwhelming understanding of something I had been too close to see for 22 years. It was never about me. The coat wasn't about me. The pit wasn't about me. The prison wasn't about me. Every betrayal, every false accusation, every forgotten promise, every silent morning had been moving toward a single moment where one man, positioned in the right place, with the right authority, could save an entire people from destruction, including the brothers who sold him. I looked at them, broken, afraid, not yet knowing who I was, and I said the truest thing I have ever said. You meant it for evil. God meant it for good. Not as a performance, not as a speech, as the thing I now knew with every part of me. Here is what I know now that I did not know at 17. The coat was never the problem. The dreams were never the problem. My brothers were never, ultimately, the problem. I was being prepared for something my 17-year-old self could never have handled. And God, in His infinite patience and questionable sense of timing, took 13 years to do what He could have done in 13 days. I used to have questions about that. I've stopped asking. Because the man who walked out of that prison and stood before Pharaoh, calm, clear, certain, could only exist because of everything that came before him. The pit made him. The palace just introduced him to the world. Suffering is not the absence of a plan. It is often the plan itself. The delay was not abandonment, it was preparation. The silence was not distance, it was formation. Every pit in your life, every betrayal, every false accusation, every door that closed, every promise someone forgot, is not evidence that God has lost track of you. It is evidence that He is still writing. And you, like me, are not at the end of your story yet. My brothers threw me in a pit at 17. I stood in a palace at 30. And somewhere between those two moments, in the silence, in the waiting, in the places where nothing seemed to be happening, everything was happening. They meant it for evil. God meant it for good. My name is Joseph, and I was not, for the record, a smart 17-year-old. But God had a plan for me anyway. He has one for you too. The biblical POV, their story, their voice,